Chapter 17. Yari Fisser was having doubts about Rutger murdering his brother Yanni. The more he thought about it, the more the unruly gangster told himself that 2 and 2 wasn't adding up to 4. Inwardly, he said, Rutger and Yanni had been close friends. They'd always gotten along. But if Yanni had suspected Rutger was fucking Sophie, Yanni would have come forward. His brother would have said something. But Yanni had mentioned nothing of the sort. In fact, Fisser remembered he'd seen Yanni hours before the hit at the shop, the day he left for Prague, and his brother had been in good spirits. Fisser then wondered. Had Constantine dreamed it all up? Is there some kind of inside plot under the surface? A goo I don't know about? Could the American have been so clever as to pull something like this off? Honest no Tornosinian. Perhaps the Sicilian's gleaning house. Or worse yet, the unruly gangster thought, maybe Constantine is planning to take me out too. It makes sense. No, Fisser thought, Yanni never said a fucking thing. Not one fucking word about Rutger having sex with Sophie. It was therefore that the Fisser voice of reason concluded, the Sicilian must be behind it. Fisser knew from this moment on that he'd have to watch his back. He needed a plan. Killing the boss would be easy. It was the other stuff he'd have to line up. The connections and liaisons, the runners and deal makers. Complicated, he told himself. No arguing there. No, I need to get my ducks in a row before attempting a coup of my own. It seemed that a war was indeed upon them. And another thing, the unruly gangster said to himself, if Rutger had thought Yanni was on to him, Rutger would have done it in some other way, not kill his brother out in the open like that. When the Centrum was bustling with activity, people were around. Rutger wouldn't have taken the chance. Constantine seemed hell-bent on destroying the Yankee. It's out of control. I've never seen the boss in such a rage. Yes, 5 million guilders is a lot of cash, but it's still just a drop in the bucket. A pride thing, Fisser concluded. It has to be. Either that or Constantine's insane. Certainly it doesn't just boil down to that. Like any Fisser, he would tough it out until he knew the truth. At the Grand Bears restaurant on Neustraat, Josh van den Berg and Timon de Boer discussed the situation. There were 2 dons in front of a table full of food, which Josh van den Berg picked at periodically throughout the conversation. Timon de Boer, his mind focused on the events, sipped lazily at his espresso, smoked a pipe of sandalwood, and largely ignored the dinner. The restaurant was packed. Waiters ran around like beheaded chickens, managers smoothed over customers, and hostesses displayed fake smiles. To everyone else in the room, they looked like old friends, there to talk about old times. No one suspected that they were plotting something that could start a war in Ternosian. In truth, they were old dogs, a different breed, and they knew how to handle themselves. Timon de Boer wanted to make sure that he understood the facts. You said the young American understands the dangers? As Hannah has explained the situation. Truth be told, the young one is quite gung-ho about coming to look for his brother. Without hesitation, Timon de Boer added, Good then. Everything seems to be in order. Josh van den Berg wiped the corners of his mouth. The boy will take the train down to Vlissingen. From under the table, a box with a sweater in it emerged, which he handed to Timon. Wear this when you pick him up. Hannah picked it out. She thought it suited you. He gave the rest of the pertinent details to Timon. William will take the ferry and meet you on the other side. And the town knows the older brother by Hunt. Yes, to make a long story short, I helped the chap many years ago out of a sticky situation. It now seems he needs my help again, and I am inclined to give it to him because of my daughter." The mere mention of his Hannah sometimes brought on his stammer. The, the things you'll do for your children. We had to change his name and give him a new identity. Hunt's not a bad bloke, really. He just makes bad decisions. To me, it appears that this time he's gotten himself in too deep. Constantine Vanderpoel, the young Sicilian trying to take over Zeeland, Timon de Boer said. "A sadistic bastard, Constantine. They're a rat pack," Josh van den Berg told him. Timon de Boer had dealt with situations like this before. "Let me do a little homework." The old Don artfully sipped his espresso. "Yari Fisser, he's the feisty one, right? The Sicilian's muscle, if you will." The big man chewed as he spoke. "Not much in the brains department, though. They say he has a temper." Timon de Boer put a match to his pipe and puffed rapidly at the stem. The smell of sandalwood filled the air. "Constantine, wasn't he a kickboxer?" "I believe so, yes," the big man said. "There was some talk of a band of hooligans years ago, an underground martial art ring of some sort." Timon de Boer puffed lightly on his pipe and then said, "Yari and Constantine, they seem to make quite a pair." "Constantine is clever. He earned as a kid and saved, built his empire with his bare hands. Now, Yari does all the dirty work." "The murders in town," Timon de Boer said, contemplating. "Those were the Sicilians' boys?" "Yanni Fisser, yes, the brother of Yari. He worked at Dykestraat 24 with Hunt. Nobody is sure what happened. There was a man called Rosie, too, another situation. He just disappeared one day, and then, well, you know, Rucker Finesse got it. Word has it that Ivar Van Lowy, the one they called the Expediter, has gone missing as well. It appears to be quite a complicated situation. Ivar Van Lowy and Rucker Finesse, they were earners. Our people have dealt with them," Timon de Boer added. "And of course, Rosie used to work at the coffee shop for me when he was a kid. Well, it looks like Rosie should have stayed with you." Timon de Boer steepled his fingers and studied his friend. "What's your take on it?" "Yari's in mourning, that one thing is for sure." The big man took a bite of bread and cheese. "And that could spell trouble," he said, swallowing. "I hear he's quite the showman when it comes to violence." Thought Timon. What are we dealing with here? Young lads, young guns, probably on the coke. The old Don took a puff and refilled the air with smoke. "What are the people saying?" "Everybody's talking about the murders, the disappearances. Nobody has a clue. Besides, the families will keep quiet until they figure out what to do. Now Hunt, he's a mystery." Timon relit his pipe. "Your daughter, she loves this Hunt? It's the only reason I agreed to help." "And now Hannah thinks she's being followed." Timon de Boer pondered his good friend's statement. "Perhaps she should stay on the farm with us for a while," the old Don suggested. "I don't know," Josh van den Berg replied, cutting in. "She's stubborn. Try to talk some sense into her." Timon de Boer drained the last of his coffee, extracted 100 guilder brief, and threw it on the table. "Klaus and Mano, they'll be informed of the situation." The men stood from the table. Josh van den Berg said, "Tomorrow, if you have time, come by my flat. I'll have something for you." "There's no need, my friend," the old Don concluded. "When this is over, we're even." 7 hours earlier on the International Time Zone, Josie Dempsey drove her son to the New Orleans International Airport. Patsy Cline's "I Fall to Pieces" played on the radio. Years ago, when she and Hugh had dated after high school, it had been their favorite song. And now she found herself falling to pieces at having to say goodbye to her youngest son. It was then that a tear appeared in her eye, and she wiped it away. William noticed his mother crying. "Oh, come on, Mama. You're not going to do that again, are you?" "Oh, you hush. Can't your mama get a little worked up about her baby leaving?" "That's fine. I was just saying." "William, are you sure you want to go through with this? We can turn this car around right now." "I got a plane to catch and a brother waiting for me." That's all he needed to say, Josie told herself. She reached over and pulled William to her, hugged him with her free arm and said, "You just remember, God is watching over you, baby." And then her youngest son was gone.